And then district grounds facility update. All the schools have been cleaned top to bottom. Kudos to Ernie and his staff. Facility team has done a great job once again. Football field, the Rogie lights. Have you seen all the Rogie lights are on and working, except one. Since we replaced the lights, one light bulb went out. So if Coach Reynes, who isn't here, hopefully we'll, Mr. Patrizzo said we'll be taking care of that hopefully before the first game. And as a result of the ongoing erosion issues from the creek, the Eco Trail Bridge has been closed for safety issues pending further assessment. I guess that's the bridge that's behind the football stadium or football field. And that's it on my stuff, so I have the fastest one. Next meeting is 5 p.m. September 20th, 2017.
Okay, any questions for Ian, Buildings Grounds? Okay. All right, any other committees you need to report out? I think it's been quite a busy August, it seems. Okay, we'll move on to, actually, I think I forgot to, can I have a show of hands for acceptance of the report of the superintendent? Okay. All right, next let's move on to questions or comments from the public on action items only. Any questions or comments from the public? Yes, come on up.
Anissa Quirk, 6 Bordeaux Lane. I've been the SATS PSG president for the last 4 years, and I'm just speaking tonight to publicly thank some folks that I've worked over the last couple of years with, relating to agenda item number 10 on tonight's agenda. I'm beyond excited to be presenting this gift on behalf of the PSG. This was a very ambitious 2-year goal that we had, and we've worked with a lot of people. And I'd like to thank Art and Chantel. I'd like to start with them for being so open-minded and accepting this journey. To the building and grounds crew, Ernie and his team, Chef Harkness for his vision of the room. It's been a truly collaborative effort for all of us. Thank you to Dr. McGarry. Thank you, Michael Patrizzo, for, again, supporting this project. We couldn't have done this without you. This was certainly a huge undertaking, and we couldn't have done it without the district providing its support to the project. So we truly appreciate that. We tried to meet you halfway, and we almost got there, but I think we did a good job of that. I'd like to thank the wonderful women who worked on the PSG Executive Board with me the last 2 years, and I'd like to name them. For the 2015-2016 PSG board was comprised of myself, Jen Reynes, Purvi Shaw, Lori Ambrino, Maria Carreri, and Carolyn Zofchak. For the 2016 and 2017 PSG, that was comprised of myself, Jen Reynes, Purvi Shaw, Lori Ambrino, Erica Roth, Terry Ferguson, and Darlene Kiss. I'd like to especially thank Debbie Brew, who, while she didn't have an official title on our board, worked tirelessly as if she was one of us, and she was really instrumental in helping us plan and execute some fundraisers, all while during 1 year while none of her kids were in this school. So it's really a testament to all the parents who work so hard in trying to do some really great things for our schools. So thank you to all of them. I'd like to thank the SATS families for the last 2 years who've been, along with the students, teachers, and staff, for supporting everything we did in terms of fundraising. They all reacted so positively in everything that we did. I'd like to extend that thanks to all the families in our community, because really we invited all of the community to everything we did, as far as a Wizards game, donating to our sports drive, our clothing drive. If you bought a Homedale sweatshirt from our school, that was supporting us. So again, thank you to everybody in this district who really helped us to attain this goal. We couldn't be prouder and more appreciative. So now we look forward to the room. We hope, by the end of September, it will be fully usable by all the students, and we're really happy that they'll be using this great state-of-the-art equipment that they deserve. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Quirk. Appreciate that.
Debbie Brew, 15 Cindy Lane. I did not know that was just going to happen, so I don't have anything prepared, but Anissa can stand up here and thank all of us and everybody. But I have to say, and she knows I have told her this, it is 98% Anissa. So when I was on the SATS executive board with Anissa, twisting her arm to come in and please be president because we didn't have anyone at the time, 4 years ago, she made a tremendous difference. Being involved in SATS in the past, the goal always for the SATS PSG, because it's smaller, it's only a 2-year school, it's not so easy to raise all this money that Village and Indian Hill comes easy to them with a lot of events and gung-ho parents. So their goal always was to provide the 8th grade dance for the school, and they worked hard to be able to do that. And Anissa came in and they were able to do that plus more every year since then. So it's my pleasure to work with Anissa. She is an extraordinary leader, and really, everybody worked together, but under her leadership, made it easy and made this all possible. So she's not going to thank herself, so.
Thank you. Well, that's well said, and thank you both, and thank all of your parents' groups. I mean, you guys do a tremendous job, and for this gift specifically. So, are there any other questions or comments on agenda items? Okay. So we are going to move to the action items for the board. Oftentimes in the past, we vote on these things, and unless you actually read the agenda, it's hard for the public to do it, and we've gotten some feedback, some positive suggestions from the public, so I'm going to kind of highlight a few of the key areas in the agenda, just so that for people who are listening online and don't have the agenda in front of them, there are several personnel changes and assignments that we're going to be voting on, as well as school bus contracts. There's a lot of textbooks that we're going to be voting on. One specific note of one that I thought was interesting was the textbook called Dynamics of Healthcare for our new healthcare curriculum, or our healthcare track. We are voting, as was indicated by the CNI team, the Future Ready Schools process to start that, as well as state funding approvals and grants that will help our district and fund our district that we're going to be voting on as well, and the new staff accountant position. So I think that is and then as well as the donations that we always are getting every single board meeting, and then standard bill payments. So that is kind of a quick and dirty summary of the assessment, and now we'll move on to the voting of it. We are going to be pulling items number 8, 9, 10, 26. Are there any other items that board members want to be pulled for further discussion? Okay, seeing none. Can I have a motion for items number 1 through 7?
Move.
Wait, hold on a second.
Second.
11 through...
I'm sorry.
Let me say that again. 1 through 7, 11 through 25, 27 through 102.
Move. Second.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Okay. Can I have a vote, please?
Mr. Hammer.
Yes for all items except I'm abstaining on items number 3 and 4.
Mr. Reddy.
Yes.
Mr. Sokol. Yes. Mrs. Klein.
Yes.
Mr. Martinez.
Yes.
Ms. Flynn.
Yes.
Mrs. Briamonte.
Yes.
Mrs. Liu.
All right, yes, except number 1 and number 2, abstain to that.
Mrs. Amorati.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, great. Okay, item number 8, acceptance of non-monetary donation from the Homedale Runners and Jumpers Throwers Club. Resolved that the board accept with gratitude non-monetary donation from the Homedale Runners, Jumpers, Throwers Club in the form of t-shirts for the girls and boys springs track and field and unified sports track and field teams valued at approximately $1,500. Can I have a motion, please?
Motion. Second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, thank you very much for this donation. Can we have a vote, please?
Mr. Hammer?
Yes.
Mr. Reddy?
Yes.
Mr. Saka?
Yes.
Mrs. Klein?
Yes.
Mr. Martinez?
Yes.
Ms. Flynn?
Yes.
Mrs. Briamonte?
Yes.
Mrs. Lou?
Yes.
Mrs. Amorati?
Yes.
Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Item number 9, acceptance of non-monetary donation from Hilton Hotel, Rye, New York. Resolved that the board accept with gratitude a non-monetary donation from Hilton Hotel, Rye, New York of 1 treadmill and bike to the fitness room at Homedale High School, valued at approximately $1,000. Can I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Second.
Any comments? Thank you very much. And let's go for a vote.
Mr. Hammer?
Thank you, yes.
Mr. Reddy?
Yes, thank you.
Mr. Saka?
Yes.
Mrs. Klein?
Yes, thank you.
Mr. Martinez?
Yes.
Ms. Flynn?
Yes.
Mrs. Briamonte?
Yes.
Mrs. Lou?
Yes.
Mrs. Amorati?
Yes.
Motion passes. Thank you.
Item number 10. This has to be videotaped today. Acceptance of non-monetary donation from the WRSAT's Parent Support Group, PSG. Resolved that the board accept with gratitude a non-monetary donation from the WRSAT's Parent Support Group, PSG, of various culinary arts equipment to the WRSAT's School Culinary Arts Room at approximate value of $19,866.67, excuse me. Can I have a motion, please?
Move.
Second.
Second.
All right, thank you again to the entire staff of the PSG and for all those people that donated. This is a tremendous gift, and I think will help our culinary arts education in the high school, so. Okay, any other comments? Okay, can we have a vote, please?
Mr. Hammer?
Yes, thank you.
Mr. Reddy?
Yes, thank you very much.
Mr. Saka?
Yes. Bon appetit.
Mrs. Klein?
Yes, and thank you.
Mr. Martinez?
Yes, thank you very much.
Ms. Flynn?
Yes, thank you very much.
Mrs. Briamonte?
Yes, thank you for all the hard work.
Mrs. Lou?
Yes, thank you.
Mrs. Amorati?
Yes, thank you for all you do.
Motion passes. Thank you.
Great. Okay, item number 26, approval of student handbooks, program of studies, and athletic handbooks. Resolved that the board approve the student handbooks and programs of study for Homedale High School, WRSAT School, Indian Hill School, and Village School. Also, the athletics handbooks for Homedale High School and WRSAT School as on file in the office of the superintendent. Can I have a motion, please? Or actually, is there any? Oh, yeah.
You need the motion and the second.
Yeah, can I have the motion? Then we'll have our discussion. All right. I'll motion it to move forward.
Motion, yeah.
We can make it, we can have our discussion on this one. So I think there were several.
Move.
Pete second.
Second.
Okay. All right. So we're gonna have the so I know there was a few of you that had some questions on this one, about the updates that we're doing it and the information given to the broader board. Does anybody want to start or kick off the discussion? I think Chung Yang, do you want to, or Mike?
He needs to stop choking.
Okay, so Chung Yang, I know you're the one who wanted this pulled, so go.
You want to go start?
Go ahead, Chung Yang.
Okay. I was kind of shocked. I saw the new version of handbooks, student handbooks and athletic handbooks posted online before we approve this. I know there's some discussion at the CR committee, so I wasn't there this time, so I'm not quite sure the detail how you discussed. But to me, I feel like number one, we should prove first before you post it, since it is on the agenda. Number two, four of us all read the draft, and we make some suggestion, and for administrator to consider, and our suggestion. We did not see the final version, and we had no clue what's going on, but I do understand we make a suggestion, administrator can take any kind of decision. But I think is, to the rest of the board, they do not have a chance to read that before approval. So this is my concern, and then I went on the website to see that, and there are a few things not corrected and supposed to correct, and but I want to say, I've only looked at the high school student handbooks and athletics handbook. I would like to thank Mr. Lagren. I sent him a laundry list. My suggestion is, and he has been very patient to read through my suggestion. I could tell, and he go beyond that. So I really appreciate we have a communication, just the paper, not like email. The athletic handbooks, there are some things there. I feel like if I could see that before they put on the website, and then we can have to eliminate that kind of mistakes. For example, the mission statement. It's on the way old statement, and it say Common Core, the curriculum should be New Jersey student learning standards. So it didn't correct it, and I did make a comment there, say, okay, please correct that because there's new name there. And also, I know the sport team, I don't have kids playing, but I know there's a figure skating, there's a fencing club or something like that, and it's on our student handbooks. But in that athletic handbooks, I did make a suggestion. I think we do have the two clubs there, so maybe we should have a consistency. Both I need to see, but it didn't come up there. Also, another page is gifting, donation and gifting, because we have some discussion at CNI for a few times, and I make a request that maybe revisit that and see, because we have so many passionate, enthusiastic parent group who want to donate it, and maybe you look at that and then it didn't have anything changed, but I think we should have some wording changed according to the recent donations. So I'm kind of, see, if I could see the final version before posting it, I would appreciate that. I don't need to say this now here, but since we put on the agenda for approval, I think we should have a chance to read that before. All of us should have a link to see that, the final version, before we approve.
So I know that the parents are being asked to sign off that they've read the handbooks prior to their kids kind of coming in there, so they understand, what the school district's expectations and procedures, et cetera, are. Is there any other comments that anybody had? I mean, I think that actually, Denise, were the corrections that were discussed in CNI, were they extensive, or was it just a few? I mean, I get the
There's a discrepancy between, sometimes it says Homedale Board of Education and Homedale District, Homedale Township School District, or Homedale Board of Education. And it came up with the committee members that, people assume that it's the Board of Education making a decision. I mean, we vote on things, we don't make the decisions. Like administration again, they get paid to make the decision. So we were reading it and saying, well, is this the Homedale Board of Education or is it the Homedale School District? So that was what we had brought up I know I was reading it, I had village school, so I had that handbook, and I came up with that. And then the other suggestion that the committee made was, we are 4 schools, we're one district, they should all, we feel they have the same format. So if it's, okay, the front could be different, but everything else should be, pretty much the same in the beginning, listing the staff, listing the board
Right,
members.
right.
It should all look the same, so when you go on.
It's consistent,
yes.
they know where to look within the handbooks as they move from school to school.
Exactly, and if and like even say on the, page 15 will always be about discipline. So that you go to that page and it just,
Or that
it's just
section, okay.
conforms to some kind of organization and that.
So I think,
What was the other thing?
that second thing that.
Sounds like the
you j-
changes are mostly more cosmetic than substantive at this point.
Yes, no,
I have no idea, and I'm asked to vote on it tonight, so.
It's ironic, I was thinking here this evening, that the first meeting that I had on the school board 7 years ago, the same issue came up in which we were presented with documentation that none of us had a chance to read. I remember abstaining on that because I didn't feel comfortable voting on something that I haven't had a chance to read. There are a few, I don't want to get into the nitty-gritty of this because there are some nitty-gritty issues, at least with the athletic handbook. But on a general perspective, what I've never understood, or maybe let me change that a different way because that comes across a very negative way. I guess what I'd ask the superintendent is, what elements are being repeated from school building to school building that in essence, to approach something that Denise had just said, that there's a consistency around discipline, or there's a consistency around a particular policies or et cetera, that each handbook has that same information, so that we could actually, instead of having 4 handbooks, why couldn't we have a consolidated singular handbook in which information that is consistently applied across the entire district is in one place, and then you have your specific elements that relate to different schools. That's one thing I've always wanted us to start moving towards, was that level of consistency. Looking a little more closely to the athletic handbook, to me, it continues to bother me that we have a philosophy and purpose that at no point indicates winning.
That what?
Winning.
Oh, okay.
The point of athletics is, I understand what's happening here. In fact, we have a statement here which I have to say I vehemently oppose, which in the philosophy of purpose, there's a sentence that says, "At no time shall the total educational curriculum be placed secondary in emphasis." Well, I gotta be honest with you, sports has lessons to be learned and is an educational experience in essence, but truthfully, what sports is all about is physical activity, physical challenge, built around rules that leads to winners and losers, okay? That's how sports operates. And the longer we ignore that and pretend that that is not an aspect of sports, what happens is we create, I believe, a false understanding of what our athletic program is built around, and becomes problematic when it comes to what we're expecting from our coaches, which if you take a look again at this handbook, winning is not a priority with our coaches. The code is essentially saying that our expectations of our coaches is to play an important role in the education of students and to be responsible for social, emotional, and academic development of future generations. Well, again, I think that coaches do have a major impact on the development and maturation of our students, no questions about that, but coaches are hired to help develop winning teams. And we, as an educational institution, are built around having a commitment to excellence. It's a commitment to excellence in the classroom. It's a commitment to excellence in our artistic endeavors. We continuously highlight the successes we have in all areas, including, by the way, sports. But in our handbook, we don't deal with that issue. We skirt it. So I've again will ask, and will be the reason why I will vote against this handbook this year, is I really feel we have to address that issue of winning. So I think it has to be part of the philosophy of our athletic program.
Okay. So I don't disagree with what you're saying, Mike, but I think the intent of this athletic program, or the handbooks and the athletic things, or the discussion tonight is do we table this for tonight, send it back to C and I to reevaluate and revamp as necessary, or do we, which is one option. There's another option of voting on this as a, so that the parents can go and look through it, because the handbooks haven't really changed significantly, between last year and this year, so there's not that much difference. However, there is apparently some changes that want to be made by some of the people on this board to make it more standardized, which I get, or to include winning as part of the athletic piece of this thing, which I understand as well. So the issue, I think, is what do we do now? We're asking parents to sign off on handbooks, and we don't have the official handbooks because they haven't been fully reviewed by the entire board.
Well, I mean, but Joe, I'm sorry, I have to a little bit disagree with your interpretation, because the resolution we have here is to ask the board to approve these handbooks. So it's not really a question of whether we table or not table. It's really a question of, do we approve the content that these handbooks contain? So that deals with, there's two elements. Element A is everyone here on the board has not seen final versions of these handbooks, so we're voting on stuff that we really haven't had a chance to review. Okay, so that's point one. But point two is, I don't believe that we've taken off the table the ability of us as a board in toto to discuss, as we've done in the past, from precedent and being on the board many times, we've had a number of discussions in which we've talked about handbooks and details in those handbooks. So I don't think we've waived that element here, and that's why I'm raising the point that I think...
I'm not saying...
Okay,
I'm not saying...
if I misunderstood, I apologize. I just wanted to clarify where I'm coming from here.
No, I agree. We need to have that discussion.
Right.
I'm not saying that... You're exactly right. We need to vote whether we want to approve or not approve these handbooks tonight, because this is on the agenda tonight. The question is there's a lot of changes that need to happen, and then we're also asking parents to kind of sign off that they've read this thing. So you can vote this down and then send it back to CNR to make the changes, send that out, or sorry, CNI, excuse me, make these changes, review them with the administration, and then come up with revised handbooks that everybody on the board had seen, and then either approve them at that point in time. And then we can have a healthy discussion with the CNI team, with inputs from the various different board members, or the CNI team brings that to the entire board and says, hey, here's the changes that we made, we standardized it, we've added the changes to the mission statement, we've added some language around winning in athletic handbooks, and then have a full discussion as well.
Robert, quick question. Are we dictated by policy to have the parents sign by the 15th, or is that just set as an element inside the handbook itself?
That is how we administer the schools.
Well, I'm sorry, does that mean, are you saying then it's policies establishes the September 15th date? Do we have flexibility in changing the date so that we can,
We really
approve
can't.
new handbooks?
We have to have parental agreements on things like the acceptable use policy. We have to have parents' understanding of the code of conduct. You can't sort of let those things go by the wayside, because guess what? Things happen September 8th, 11th.
Then I suggest...
So I would recommend that we make copies of these available in the board office, because these are thick documents to send home to you.
I've had them in the past. I remember that being, I was on CNI, we went over the documents. I wasn't impressed with them then, and I'm probably not going to be impressed with whatever draft you want to approve now. I think those documents, and by the way, I mean, I was letting this go, but you know what? I was surprised to hear that this CNI committee was looking at them. We don't want to administer the schools, but we want documents and information given to us that's accurate, that's clear, and that's done. And that's my biggest objection. I couldn't believe that they were looking at this stuff and giving comments. And, and I couldn't believe it when I first came on the board and we looked at it. These documents, I think, need overhaul. I mean, if we're going to approve something that that's subject to revision, fine. But I don't think if it's to sign off by September 15th, we have a meeting before September 30th. We could do a sign off by September 30th.
Vicki,
the policies exist. If you need to discipline someone, we have board policies in place that give you the authority to do it without a parent signing off on it. That authority does not disappear because we didn't approve the handbooks tonight.
So
Those
I just have to ask one question. You're surprised that CNI was giving comments, but you want the
No,
full
I'm
board to
surprised
do
they're
that.
reviewing them for things like Board of Ed versus district. That should have been done by someone who works here before it was given to CNI. That's, I mean, and when they were doing...
We discussed that. We did discuss that, and Dr. Sealy definitely
No, I
addressed
know,
the
and I-
issue, and she is putting in place teams for next year, and we said we're going to begin earlier, because you're right, it really should be administrative policy and review that are going into those handbooks. And then it's just our position to read them, review them. We shouldn't be rewriting them. So I believe Dr. Sealy is aware of our concerns. We did address things, language and such not, but we were all in agreement that they do need to be basically rewritten.
Right.
And
so, and they need to be consistent. So that's why I say, I don't understand, I think we should table this. I think it should be, that would be my recommendation, and the people who want, you can make a motion or not. And there's no reason, as a district, we're not hampered because we didn't approve a handbook tonight. We have those handbooks are really a recitation of our policy, summarized in some ways, which, again, I want to make sure and have a report. The report I haven't received from CNI, or like, and it doesn't seem it's been given to them. Here's your handbook. We've reviewed them, and we made sure these handbooks are consistent with state law, state policy, our district policy. Oh, we looked at it, we need to change this policy. That's the type of discussion I want to have about the handbook. Or Mr. Sacco brings up, we've been discussing this issue over winning. That should be somewhere reflected in athletic. Ms. Liu brings up tonight that the mission statement, there's language in certain parts that seem to be inconsistent with state law or district policy. Right, so there's things like that need to be done, and I think we should just do it, rather than approving this document as is. The schools aren't going to not operate because of the handbooks. They're really not. I mean, we talked about it. We're being asked to approve this like it's a policy document, because it is. It's a recitation of the policy, summarized for parents, so that they don't, but now they could search the policy, so it's so much easier. And it'd be great if it's searchable too.
So,
Wouldn't the current handbooks remain in force if we abstain, if we table this, or?
yeah, I think Vicky accurately displayed it.
Yeah.
The handbooks are handbooks, they're reflections of guides. So I guess my recommendation, oh, go ahead, John, and Eileen, did you want?
One of the concerns I have is that there's multiple versions now of the handbook. There's a different version on the parent portal, or at least as of 5 PM, and a different version on the website. So it appears as if there's an updated version on the parent portal and a previous version on
Okay.
the website.
So that's an administration thing that we need to kind of fix. You're right, that's a good point. John, is there anything else, Eileen, that you want?
No, we had discussed that the handbook approval process or revision process should ultimately be done earlier in the year,
Yeah.
so that by the time teacher letters are disseminated, because the first thing people are gonna do is hit that parent portal, obviously, and I think at that point, the handbook should already be approved, revised, and whatever. So if we could move this back by a couple months next year, that's what we were recommending.
All right, John, did you want to say something before we?
Just real quick, in thinking about it, looking at it, and then hearing everyone's discussion, for me,